remember we could hear the music from the Palace Pier. We could hear the carnival sounds from the Sunnyside.
And down in the flats, we could play baseball, and in the winter, the local fire department would come over and flood it, and then we would have the skating rink there. We had 2 skating rinks, one for hockey and one for just skating back and forth.
Years ago when I lived there, that was the thing, you know, we never locked the door because there was nothing to steal in the house anyway.
And then just, I guess it would be in 1945, they come in and they started building a whole street of a row of bungalows. And we just couldn't get used to that, because that's where we were cutting through there going to school.
Humber Bay is located on the west side of Lake Ontario's Humber Bay, between Mimico Creek and the Humber River. While today there is much new development, this area has quite the past. Although Humber Bay never became incorporated as a village or a town, it came to be filled with market gardens, hotels, brickyards, and boatyards.
Humber Bay had a definite identity, though. Everybody called it Humber Bay, back from way before even anything was built there. And it had a post office for a long time, and the schools and libraries and everything are called Humber Bay.
Beginning in the late 1800s and evolving throughout the first half of the 20th century, beachside resorts, campgrounds, boating, dance halls, and a golf course made Humber Bay a popular vacation spot. While Humber Bay has seen transition many times, there have always been signposts to let you know you've arrived.
And the Humber River itself started to become a psychological and a geographical boundary of sorts. So once they crossed the river, they were into a different time, a different place.
The way you get across the rivers, of course, is with bridges, and there have been ferries or bridges across the Humber and Mimico Creek since the British arrived.
Today, a pedestrian and cycling bridge at the mouth of the Humber River marks the east end of Humber Bay. It's inspired by the Ojibwe story of creation, while a unique bridge at the mouth of Mimico Creek is on the west. Just north of the lake, there are several overpasses, including the railway. The Gardner Expressway, which originally marked mile 0 of the Queen Elizabeth Way, today's Lakeshore Boulevard West, originally Lakeshore Road, and the Queensway, once Queen Street. Beginning with timber, then iron, steel, and concrete, there have been many bridges and overpasses crossing into Humber Bay for over 2 centuries.
The Humber Bridge that was made of iron was interesting because on the west side of it, there was a Welcome to Toronto sign, and the Toronto crest was up above it. So people definitely saw the Humber River as the boundary between Etobicoke and Toronto. That bridge lasted till 1931, and then it was moved, and it still exists today. It's on Bathurst Street over the railway tracks just north of Front Street.
Well, there was quite an interesting entertainment business that built up around the Humber Bay area. It was one of the earliest entertainment areas along the shore in the Toronto area. People wanted to escape the soot, the smoke, the heavy industrialization of downtown Toronto. And so they simply boarded steamers and went out to some of these lovely areas along Toronto's Lake Ontario shore. One of the early ones was Humber Bay.
So the first big hotel actually built in Humber Bay was built in 1852 by John McDowell, and it was located on the north side of the Lakeshore Road, immediately west of the Humber River. And he called it the Royal Oak Hotel because when he built it, he wrapped the veranda around a large oak tree that was already there. In 1877, that hotel was bought by Octavius Hicks. He was a major figure in Humber Bay. Immediately west of the hotel, he had a large area outdoors where he would build boats. On the south side of Lakeshore Road was Nurse's Hotel. It was built by Charles Nurse in around 1870. He had a big fishery on Lake Ontario. That hotel was famous for its fish dinners. Then immediately west of Nurse's Hotel, John Duck in 1877 built the Wimbledon House, which was well known for what they called the pleasure grounds that surrounded it. So they had an outdoor merry-go-round, an outdoor dance floor, and animals, wild animals in cages that people could look at, and so on.
I think it's a theme that you see in the Lakeshore and certainly in Humber Bay over time. All of these folks who had these establishments did other things as well. They were builders, they were fishermen, they were boat builders, they were hoteliers, and it seemed like they were very industrious people who used the lake, used its waterways, and accessed all of that natural resource to make a living for themselves, a really good living along the shore.